Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to this, a thing where, and I don't know why I continue to make these sort of distinctions, but ordinarily this is something that I would just be doing. So, might as well film it, because it's all content. And if you're trying to sustain the unsustainable frequency of making an upload every single day, sometimes you got to make a video out of something that ordinarily you would just be doing. So we've got the guy that I've still been calling the Nameless. He has been running, most recently, Duratrax Fossils, fitted with double buns on these nice, heavy, and deep wheels. And during one of the most recent wheel tests, these are S1 Canyon Trails, the sticky ones, also on double buns, mounted on wheels of a similar offset. The S1s did not. I was really hoping that they would work on, it came from the workbench 16, 17. I can't even get the numbers right. The one that is on the UGRC chassis. With the 30% underdrive, Canyon Trails don't like it. It's one of the only instances, like when I do tire tests, and I've done more than a couple, I've never taken things into consideration, like how will this tire do on a lot of overdrive or underdrive versus having none? It's just something that never occurred to me. And I guess I've been lucky in the past, because like a Phoenix has switchable overdrive at like 46%. And some tires work really well on both and some tires don't. So that rig ended up on a mixed set of tires. So that got me to thinking. The Fossil versus the S1 Canyon Trail, as they are both relatively close in price point, I would consider these two tires to be direct competitors. We do have a non-directional tire versus a directional tire, and the directional tire is on a wheel set that, try as I may and try as I might, I can't approach the weight of these because these have brass rings. So these are about 240 grams per combo, and these are about 190. So 50 grams is a significant amount. That's 200 grams overall. So we're losing quite a bit of unsprung weight. So we're going to forego tests, primarily forego tests that are focusing heavily on like side hill ability and stuff like that, because they're both on double bun, so we know that they're going to both do well on side hills. So we want to look at tests that are more focused on the performance of the tire itself individually, like Slick Rock and the Beast and stuff like that. So this will be an abbreviated form of the Canyon Tire Test Protocol. As you can see, both of the tires, we have a very similar amount in the size of the side lug. Lug depth is very similar between the two. Outside diameter, width, everything is very, very close on these two tires. I would not be upset to have either tire, quote unquote, win in this comparison. I just thought that this would be a reasonable comparison to make, because I had never considered the S1 Canyon Trail as an option prior to getting my first set of S1 Canyon Trails. I was unaware that the Canyon Trail came in two different flavors. Duratrax tires come in one flavor. They're all in the whatever they call C3 compound. And I don't even know if the Fossils specify being in C3 compound, but they feel like every other Duratrax tire. And the Fossil, these two sit up near the top of the pantheon of my favorite tires. If you were to insert a J Concepts Tusk right over here next to it, I would say probably my three favorite tires. These have only just recently edged out the Duratrax Deepwoods as my favorite Duratrax tire, because I think the Fossil is a better, like, all-around tire. It's an all-purpose tire, and so is that one. So, why not? We're here. Let's see. And we will be testing them on the Nameless. One of that wheel is his. This gentleman right here, who has no overdrive, underdrive. He's running stock gears, so that shouldn't be an issue here. He has a very low CG. He's pretty light. So we're going to see how it goes. I figured this is relatively close to testing on baseline, but we're skipping a step because these are his tires and these might be his tires. So rather than swing it around, do an end run on this, we're just going to go straight to the guy that is supposed to get the tires. So we'll do the Fossils first, as they're already mounted. We'll do 5 or 6 points of the tire test protocol, and then we'll just switch the tires over and try it on the S1s. And I think I've done this enough that I should be able to tell relatively quickly. Now, again, I will be conscious to point this out. There are so many variables outside the tires that can impact how a tire performs. That's why I call these quick views, or this is like a little quick comparison, a little tire versus, because like if you're running something with, if you've got 20% underdrive or 20% overdrive, I can tell you, probably not these, because they have so much bite to them that the front simply can't drag the rear end around. Now, most of us, myself included, across the fleet, I tend to stick on vehicles that are fitted with underdrive or overdrive. I tend to be in that 10, 11 to 15% range. That's where most things fall, with the exclusion of Phoenix, which have selectable, and their low overdrive is 6%, which 6% is barely noticeable. I find that 11 to 15 is helpful in that in situations like turning, it will slightly tighten your turning radius. Anyway, that's getting into an underdrive overdrive discussion. What we are here to discuss is this tire versus this tire. They are in a very similar price point. These are cut, which tends to improve the performance of canyon trails. But I just want to know, like, is this the best I can do, or are these a little better? Because if you're getting ready to plunk down your money, both of these tires serve as examples of tires that are pretty much always in stock. Do I think that if I were to put a Tusk in here with some sort of exotic insert in it, it would perform better? I'm almost certain that it would. But you can't get Tusks. You can get these whenever you want. You can get these whenever you want. There have been no shortage of them. So that's why we're here. Tires that you can readily buy, and these are two of my favorites, and it just happens to be that they fall into the category of readily purchasable. Let's see which one does better on a largely stock builder's kit buildup. It's got a couple changed parts, but it's a 10.2. So did I say 10.3 earlier? I'm going to say 10.3 earlier. I don't know why. It's a 10.2. So it's a largely stock 10.2. Let's get it out onto the course. Oh, it's already got a battery in it. Hey, let's get it out there and do some tire testing. It's a perfect day for it. I tell you, splinters are the worst. I mean, is there a more annoying tiny annoyance in life than getting a splinter? I got a splinter from a rake handle a couple days ago, and it broke off like well under the skin. We're just gonna push this out here. I know this is sort of an insert test here, but he has shown the ability to push this around. You know, that was so well done. I think we might turn this day into a day where I spend more time in between filming setups, where I will wear out this set of wheel nuts and then discard them. Because we're going to swap them back. I'm going to swap them back and forth. We'll do this setup on this tire, and then we'll do this setup on the canyon trails, and then we'll move on. Go away. Flies. Okay, straight pull up here. Yeah, strong, real strong. Then let's see the pivot here. Let's see the pivot. Oh, it's so close. It was really close. Yeah, these tires feel really good. So it's one of those instances where I'm like, why are we doing this? For the same reason we do everything here. You don't know until you know. I have done so many tire tests where just incidentally a rig gets a different tire and is suddenly better at pretty much everything. And it kills me to not have those S1s on something. And it's not like the Fossils are going to go without a home for long. These kind of tire tests like this, they tend to spiral outward, where somebody else is going to test tires, somebody else is going to test tires. So we might as well film a tiny little part of it. Let's do exactly what I just did, but with canyon trails. So I thought I had cobbled together a test wheel set that approximated the width, the overall track width of the Injora Deeps. Now that they're mounted, this is wider. Like we are really wide on these. It may indeed affect the turning circle with how wide it is. So but I also at the same time I think that some of the weight lost by not having brass beadlock rings will be offset by the fact that these are just really genuinely wide. That first hit when it started crawling on, that first hit, I was like, oh my goodness, the traction. And still, yeah. There is, oh, look how wide that thing is. That is outstandingly wide. There was no, oh yeah, the compliance of that rear end, yeah, these have drive. And the S1 Canyon Trail may indeed be a tire that wants like the exact same spot. It pushed out to the exact same spot. It may be a tire that is not explicitly benefited by big underdrive, big overdrive. I think most tires, in my testing, you know, I don't know. Is it me? Is it me? I don't know. That looks pretty good. I don't know. What is it about me and orange wheels? Yeah, I mean, that's like a Halloween theme there with the black and the orange, but I kind of like those orange wheels. Most tires, I don't know if I have found a tire yet that is unhappy in that, like, that lower overdrive underdrive range, that 11 to 15%. But Canyon Trails kind of seem to excel on 0 to 12. Oh yeah, the positionability here is ridiculous. This is outshining the Fossil a little bit. Now, is it because the wheel is a bit wider? I don't think so. I don't think the lines we're hitting right now are really relying on width. That felt exactly the same between the two. But yeah, there is a lot of bite in these. So now, because I'm lazy, and there's nothing wrong with that, laziness is just economy of motion, my friends. That's all it is. We're going to go to the next setup, which will be Daphne's, and we're going to do it in reverse. We'll do the Canyon Trails, and then I'll take those off, and I'll put the Fossils on. Easy. Now, full disclosuring, I think this might be an instance where width will help. We will see this right here. I've got that front tire. It's up against that ledge, and it kind of, because of how the wheelbase sits, it wants to push the rear end back down. So we will see how the Fossils breach on here. And we're right in the hollow. Unintentionally laid out the rocks in such a way, so we're really super wide. There's no coming back from that there. See how this does here. Ordinarily, we're going to hang the pumpkin. That was a good settle right there. You won't get the settle if the tires kind of squidge back. Like if you get any slide or roll from the tires, it won't set that front end back down. So we have a very high and tight line trying to come in here. If we can get the pumpkin off of that little nub at the back, we should be able to pull this over. That's a straight cut right there. You need a lot of traction to pull that. And you the slowest rollout. Take it wider. Oh, that wider line gets dominated by these. You can see that the shape of the smaller, flatter rock really shuttles the front end around. I wish I had sunglasses on right now so bad. The sun just came out a little brighter than it was a minute ago. Okay, we got the pumpkin in, so we're gonna push around and try to handle it this way, the wide side. And then that width, like I said, we go with the left-hand approach, and once we get that corner to push back in, there's so much side bite on that passenger front, straight over the sign, that it had no problem. And again, straight test of tire here, pulling up river rock onto river rock. We'll go real slow on it. Because there's really, that tire is shuttling over. I want it into that spot right there, so we can, there it is, right there. Just trying to grab any bite we can on these river rocks. I thought I had it and we fell back down. See if I can achieve that same position. Yeah, okay, right here. And that's where I wanted to be before. And the difference there is literally 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch. If a tire is to one side or the other more than the where you need to be, you're not gonna make it. Very good stability. The width is really truly helping offset the loss of weight. So you can get away here with a wider and lighter. And I'm really enjoying the performance of wider and lighter. But let us see how the Fossil does the very same thing. So not explicitly tread related, but I can't, again, I don't want to sound like I'm getting high on my own supply, but I can feel the difference. Just like flat ground maneuvering, the heavier Fossils versus the lighter canyon trails. And I'm gonna try this really, the wide right, because it worked so well. Yeah. Oh, get up, get on the bar. I don't know which I like better. Now see that, the heaviness was trying to pull that tire down, which just gave me the thought. I had an inkling of a thought. Perhaps maybe not a terrible idea to split up the set of brass rings. Just put brass rings in the front. Run a little bit lighter of a wheel tire in the back. Now right there, again, we're well augured in with the rear, but the maneuverability of the front, if I can get off the Fossil, I don't know. I feel like the Fossil, now I did have quite a bit more hacks at it, but was it the Fossil? Was it the increased front weight? They are so very close. Now, in terms of raw forward drive, okay, I want to shuttle that rear, and then once that rear's there, we come back the other way as it gets on the top. Almost right there, and pulls over. This is tough to say. What I think it's coming down to, and not having put the Canyon Trail, the S1 up this pull-up, I mean, it might shatter whatever I'm saying right now, but I'll say it in the moment. And here's what I'm saying in this moment. The Fossil and the S1 Canyon Trail have almost the same amount of total grip. But imagine, put yourself in a position where you're creating your character in like a boxing game or a snowboarding game or any game where you have that allocation of points into specific categories, and to give points in one category you have to take points from another category. Like in a Fallout analogy, you could have no charisma and all strength, right? So in terms of these tires, and I really need to finalize this both mentally and physically, we've got this imaginary wheel with different categories on it, and you can allocate a total amount of points spread between these categories, but it's never enough to make the wheel full. There's always going to be some failing. There's going to be some aspect that tire sacrifices, right? So like say a rupture compared to an axial Nitto trail grappler, a rupture's got more points to start with than the trail grappler. They might actually distribute their points similarly, but there's more points to the, so we can't, more video game reference, you've got a baseball player or a football player or a soccer player in FIFA or MLB or one of those. And you've got a guy that's like a 99, and then you've got a guy that's like a 72. That's an excellent analogy for the different tires. Some tires are more than others. Let's put the S1 Canyon Trail and the Duratrax Fossil, let's put them around like, let's say they're 92s. I would say, honestly, on a double bun, I would say both tire is a 92, but they don't distribute their points with the same, in the same ratios. There's more grip in some situations with the Fossil, and there's more grip in other situations with the Canyon Trail. I know that helps no one. I mean, it helps people in one way, in that you know that these are both capable tires. I have done this so many times. I know the exact spot I need to go to make this work. So what I do is I treat, on these obstacles in the tire test protocol, I treat every tire pretty much exactly the same, because I know what needs to be done, and a base passing score is the ability to do it, right? If you can't do it, you end up in the junk view category because you're junk now. So this stuff, I've done this so many times, which is the beauty of the canyon as a locale. Look how high you can get that tire. Is repeatability above all else. Yeah, this guy can walk it out. Like, there's so much front weight now. Now imagine, if you will, we switched those rear tires out and we just put aluminum or plastic beadlock rings in there. I do have some unused plastic beadlock rings. So we drop another 80 grams off the rear of this thing. We're gonna pull the L and then we're gonna grab the canyon trails. So I tried this maneuver right here, which is the force left. And why the force left is difficult is you can see driver rear is on like a little lip. Now, if he goes inside this lip like this, and we try to pull over, there's another, I'll get out of the way. You see the rock with the point gleaming in the sunlight. It's in between the wheelbase. So we will see when the canyon trail comes out here. Is width gonna help? Well, we will be able to skirt around it to the other side. So we try to get in right here. And if you can get it just right, you might be lucky enough to shuttle the front end back and pull this without a bump. But the weight we've got, like right now, I feel like I might be dragging weight. So I don't, in this instance, I don't think that the brass rings in the rear tires are explicitly helping me. By that same measure though, if we take more weight off the back, this guy is a bit of a handstander descending. Get the idea, he's gonna turn into a real handstander descending. Went way too crazy at that. So we won't place the failure of that bump on the rig. It was more on me. Bumped a little too far left. And that pumpkin shot, okay, right there. Didn't quite hold it. Tire will hold. He's landing on one tire on the L. There it is. Yeah. A little, now I will chalk it up, a little bit of unpredictability there. You know, little squidgy side to side. But on the descent and the smoothness of that, like, I don't think you can ask for much more, particularly with how much weight this thing is transferring to the front. So let us do the very same thing with the Canyon Trails. Oh, he's gonna come out of that just covered in spider webs. And see how we feel then. These guys are definitely not working to make this decision any easier. There is more forward drive, direct forward drive. I give the edge there to the S1 cage. Not by a huge amount, but to me, noticeable. Side bite with the ability to do this. Very slight edge to the Fossil. And now, having seen how it performed here on the L S1 back to back with the Fossil, I don't think the Fossils need the brass rings at all. So I don't think it's necessary to weight the front because, and this is a important qualifier here. This rig is light, so and it has shed weight recently with its new hybrid gearbox. So the wheels, the sprung to unsprung ratio, we may have gone a little too heavy on wheel, or not, we didn't go there. We ended up a little too heavy in total wheel combo weight relative to the weight of the vehicle. On the descent, yeah, way smoother down on the Canyon Trail. Turning circle surprisingly tight on the Canyon Trail for the width of this guy. He might get into a little Jake situation where he's at a width where it's now difficult to pass gates. See that tire lift? So this, the Fossil didn't do. Because brass rings. How can we get all the way to the left? Yeah, he's really wide. Now, with him being so wide, can we carry over this point? I'm trying to get the rear right there. Yeah, the advantage of width. I managed to get it up there. Can we do anything with it? No. It does add a little degree of nimbleness here. And again, we fall back to that 92. Their grip profiles. They're offering about the same amount of grip. It's distributed a little bit differently. It depends on what you want. Almost had it. Like in terms of say if we're qualifying, well, I should, okay, we're gonna pull over the top of this, and then I'll have to bump it. Yeah, that lightness right there at the top, I could 50 grams a corner, I could feel it right up there at the top, because it was a little more zazz, a little more zest to it. So I think in this instance, I prefer the 190 gram combos with the Canyon Trail. We have been finding in some testing that there is certainly, and we would expect this anyway, there is a point of diminishing returns where if you get to a certain point of heaviness. Where was I? I'm scrolling Amazon and saw a TRX4 replacement axle that was all brass. The housing, the knuckle, everything, just a bar of brass. That axle has to weigh 2 pounds. You're past the point of diminishing returns at this point. Don't put a solid brass axle on something that's too heavy, because it's just gonna smash your wheels into the ground. And well, I mean, you know, maybe that's how we use those RC 4-wheel drive included foams, is we put an axle on that is so heavy. Okay, trying the bump. You just so much straighter. And why? Cats and kittens? Well, directional tread pattern. The shape of the tread lug kind of points. we have to draw imaginary chevrons that connect the tread lugs. It kind of points towards the center. So these lugs are going to pull you towards the center in situations like that. So there'll be an advantage there. There's a disadvantage as well. They're directional tread. Once you get to the perfect point of feathering, you're in that butter zone of the tire. And then what's going to happen is you're going to wear through that feather, and you're going to get to the point where now the tire is too worn. Now, if you have a tire like a Fossil, you take the left tires and you put them on the right, and you take the right tires and you put them on the left, and now the feathered side is on the back, and you get to start over again. You're going to get twice the tire life out of a non-directional tire because you can just flip them around and run them the other way. A directional tire only works one way. Now, a standard canyon trail is made out of a rubber compound that is firm enough that wearing them out is not really an issue unless you're out in parking lots doing burnouts with it on like 4S power, because they're pretty firm. I've just gotten into feathering the lead edge of the canyon trails that are on baseline, and those tires have done inarguably more miles than every other tire in the canyon because he tests a lot of products. So with an S1, you're going to get a more accelerated wear because it is a more exotic compound. It feels, and I believe I mentioned this last time they ran, softer than a Duratrax C3, but not quite as gummy as a J Concepts green. So right in there. So if you take a known and proven tread pattern that is the canyon trail with a cut and sipe on it, and on an insert combo that is known to work, you've got something strong here. And at $24 a pair, the S1 Canyon Trail is quickly ratcheting up my top 10 of canyon certified canyon recommended tires, because we know they work. A fake canyon trail works reasonably well. It just does not work remotely as well as these, which beat the RTR ones into the ground. And the RTR tires are with a cut and a sipe and a proper foam, are very good. Now this guy does exhibit a little more light-footedness with 190 gram combos compared to 250, but I think it's all usable. And the Canyon Trail is a tire that on beans stays very predictable. It's very planted. Now, 190 grams a corner isn't exactly featherweight. It's lighter than what I ordinarily shoot for now. I formerly shot for about 200 grams per corner, and now 250 seems to be pretty good on most rigs that are falling into that 6.5, 7 pound range. This guy is very light, very, very light. He's very close to volume 17, that build. 16 is very close to 17 in terms of weight. 17 is a little lighter because he has no added brass. This guy has a lot of added brass. He has the heaviest knuckles that I'm aware of for an AR-44, and that might be enough weight. So it might not indeed be that the Fossils are, they might have the same amount of forward drive as the S1s, just the weight is now counterproductive. So I understand, I'm the one doing it. This is not a quick review. We've already quick reviewed both of these tires here. I recommend both of these tires. Buy them based on what you, I think the Fossil is a better looking tire, right? But they both perform equally well in terms of like clearing mud, so I don't have any worries there. I'm kind of smitten by the orange wheel. I think what will go is we're not going to do a dismount. We're going to keep these as they are and leave these on there for a little while and get a little more wheel time in them, try to feather up the edges a little. They don't have enough run time on them. And the Fossils will move around and we'll find somebody, you know? We'll do that. Take one down and pass it around. That's how the tire rack works. So there you go. Can he do it? Can he do it? You know what? He can. Oh, there's some spider webs. Dang. They're both remarkably good tires. They really, really are. And I feel like an episode is incomplete if I don't take a hack at Proline before we go. I like both of these tires better than crawlers, regardless of what insert is in it. The crawler just lacks side bite, and both of these tires have side bite for days. The S1 is very close to the Fossil, and the Fossil has some of the best. Like right there, the only tire that's really doing work inside lip of the passenger front. So we get right here and you can see it kicking dust. So what we do is we move forward, but still, like, look at the width of that. Now it's on 8mm wide hexes. I think I could definitely go down to a thinner hex. Like I could go back to the stock hexes on this and not have worries. The other tires, I wanted that extra little bit of width, but I figure he's got to be 11 inches wide, which is generally too wide, particularly depending on what width of gate you're trying to pass through. But hey, you know, if you spend your days not trying to pass through gates, make it wider. As long as it's not causing interference where the tires rub on the fenders, like here. Like we get no Lexan noise. You can see. Oh, let me get it in frame. There we go. Just at full lock, we can just full lock and squish. We can just get the lug to touch right there. But if you have no worries about will I fit through this set of gates, go 10mm wider on either side. I recommend doing it via hub, but go a little wider. It's a very inexpensive change that can net massive results. I think this guy is actually too wide because at some point he is going to have to drive through gates, and at this like near 11 inches wide. I mean, a Circa Class 1 gate. I put the gate stick up to this guy, and the edges of his tires are slightly wider than a Circa Class 1 gate. So we would call that too wide. He is, on the other hand, very stable due to that weight, due to that width. Like we can come in here. Let's just hang on. Yeah, there's not a lot of chance of. You really got to get sideways. The tires will most likely lose grip before he throws that side over. Like this used to be something that amounted to something of a side hill here. Not so much anymore with what we have now, but like a frequent test was come out here and then try to pirouette, try to pivot across right here. And he has no issue at all. What do we hung up on? Whoa! Can you see him? I can't see him. I can't tell if he's forward or backward. He's down there. Well, we didn't get Austin Powers, so capable little guy, and get up as high as you want. That cantilever is some weird wild stuff. Oh, look at that! Get that rear end up. So we've opened ourselves up to a new. Okay, this is mostly undoable. No one has managed to pass between pole and drop off here, and he's not going to either. We weren't expecting. Do you believe in magic? Yeah, but not to that degree. Let's see. Now that's solid. Yeah, we're gonna stick with the S1s for a little while. Well done, S1s. We'll just cap it there in the 3-wheel motion for the moments where I thank you for watching. I do invite you to comment below if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, particularly questions about the S1s or the Fossils, or how, if this is one of your first times here, if I throw around the term double-bun and you're like, I don't know what that is. Yeah, drop those below. Leave a like if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't. Do consider a channel membership so that we can go on making more nonsense. Help fuel the nonsense machine. We love having you. We look forward to seeing you in the next one. And in between now and when we should happen to meet again, I do humbly request that you one and all do your very best to have a good one, everybody. We will see you again very, very soon. And then we drive out a frame, all cinematic.